On the road to recovery, Grand Forks, North Dakota with Bobbi Mecham. What a story, what a redemption story, and also what a tragic story, losing loved one to addiction. Sometimes the loss of a family member propels us to kind of find that path again, and she's on that early path. Beautiful family, supportive family. I was so pleased and appreciative of her time, and I'm so glad I get to share her story with you. On the road to recovery, Grand Forks, North Dakota with Bobbi Mecham.
I'm Bobbi Mecham. I grew up in Park River, North Dakota. It's a small town. I started partying in high school, smoking weed and drinking on weekends just for something to do. I had my first son when I was 17, and after he was born, I tried meth for the first time. And that was the love of my life. At that point, I fell instantly in love with meth. I used off and on until it became a daily occurrence. My parents had my sons for about a year, and on my 21st birthday I quit. I just quit on my own. I wanted to be in my kid's life. That wasn't what I wanted. I was not in recovery per se. I did not go to meetings, treatment, nothing like that. My husband and I just quit. And then I had Aiden, my youngest son, and I stayed at home with him for 8 years, and it was great. Like, small town, family life, baseball games, going to the park, white picket fence. And one day my husband just started acting different, and it was a lot of weird things I couldn't explain. He was staying out at all hours of the night, and eventually it came to light that he was using meth again. And I was hooked on meth, worse than I ever had been before. It took me about 9 months to finally leave my husband. Checked myself into treatment. Social services took my child because I checked myself into treatment. So treatment, I stayed clean for a couple months, and when I got out I didn't have my kids, and I was very depressed and suicidal, and shortly after that I started using needles because I was pretty intent on dying, and I thought that would speed up the process. My parents committed me. I've been in and out of treatment. That's for the last 5 years. I've been in treatment 6 times. My brother got out of prison. He was only out for about 30 days before he overdosed and died from carfentanil, and I completely lost my mind. Eugene Mecham, he was 30 years old. I know that my brother wants for me to do good, and when he died, it should have been that eye-opening moment for me to get better, but it just got me worse for a while. The day that I found out he died, I was so jealous that he got to leave and I didn't. I ended up in jail, and when I got out I tried to stay clean. I went to treatment, and I was off the drugs, but I was drinking every day. When August came around, the anniversary of his death was coming close, and I got some bad meth, which had bath salts in it, and I ended up in the emergency room and had to call my dad almost a year to the day of my brother's death. I had to call my dad from the same emergency room and tell him that I was in there for a drug overdose. And he came in there and looked me in my eyes and asked me if I was done yet, and I said yes, and I meant it. Like, that moment when I looked in my dad's eyes was the first time I wanted to live in a long time, as long as I could remember. I kept telling my dad I was trying, because I really was trying. I didn't want it anymore. It was just so tiring. It didn't do anything for me anymore, but I couldn't stop because I would be sick physically. On October 3rd, I found out I was pregnant, and I stopped doing meth and heroin. After a few weeks, I messed up. I got high once on meth, and I just knew that I needed to change something bigger. I couldn't stay in that place and get better. And eventually I called my dad and I told him that I wanted to go to treatment, and he brought me down to my uncle's. I stayed at my aunt and uncle's for a week until I could get into treatment, and I started going to church with them. I went to Step House, and I really gave it my all. Like, I didn't sit in the group room and say, oh, I don't want to talk about my feelings, or that part doesn't matter, or glaze over this so that I can still avoid that. No, I put everything I had into group and into everything they asked me to do. I got a sponsor. I started working my steps. I continued going to church with my aunt and uncle and Bible study, and really maybe started forgiving God because I had been angry at him for taking my brother. My dad and I got baptized, full immersion baptism on the same night, and it was just a huge turning point for me. I have a relationship with my 17-year-old son right now, which I didn't, for a while. I remember at my brother's funeral, my son asked me if I would stop now, and he asked me to promise him that I wouldn't use anymore. And I looked him in his eyes and I lied to him because I couldn't get out of there fast enough to go get high that day. I couldn't deal with it. But today, when I tell him things, I know that I'm being honest, and I make plans with my family and I keep my word. I talk to my youngest son on the phone twice a week. He came and stayed with me for 4 days over Easter. Like, all those things that some people take for granted are huge things for me, and I don't take them for granted anymore. I have a really good relationship with my whole family. All the times I've been in treatment before, I told myself I didn't have that support, and it was always there. I just wasn't ready to accept it. I feel amazing. I feel like for the first time in many years, I have a future to look forward to, and I am excited for the future. And now every day I have wonderful things happening in my life. I have great relationships. I have so much hope, and I have faith in myself again, and I feel like myself. And I know that I can raise this baby on my own with the support of my family and give her the love that she deserves. I plan on going to school, and I would like to work somehow in the recovery field. I don't know if I want to be a counselor or what I want to do exactly, but I know that I want to help other addicts and share my story or my brother's story to help people. God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. And that was my grandma's saying.
Bobbi, I'm so grateful for your time, spending your time with us and sharing your hope and inspiration. So many times in addiction, it takes so many falls, so many times to get back up. Sometimes it takes people many years to, amass a period of recovery. But once you find that recovery, you never want to give up. You never want to give up hope. Once you find that recovery is a beautiful thing. God bless your family. So sorry for your loss of your beautiful brother, but now you can use that loss as a driving force to have an amazing recovery and share your strength, your hope with other people, so they can in turn find their path, their journey to recovery. Recovery is a beautiful thing, and I'm in the recovery army. We're on the road to recovery. And on the road to recovery from Grand Forks, North Dakota, I'm Michael De Leon, and we'll see you on the next episode.